first week. Only had one double session. The challenge will be what's coming up next week. This will make or break us this week. We have 9 practices scheduled for 6 days coming up. And I always remind our team, and I remind you guys as well, that you have 29 practices before you play the first game, and basically you have 24 the rest of the year. So that's why there's such an emphasis on training camp. So our challenges are a young team and get them in game-like situations without, you know, the safety and getting guys banged up, which you see across the country every year. So that's the challenge we face. Very pleased with our first week. However, this is where it gets real. Evan Spencer's skill set, great. I think Paris Campbell has those qualities. Just is about as selfless as a guy. Him and Terry McLaurin have those kind of qualities. They're very good players, and I expect them to. This will be the first year they'll be major contributors. But I can see that in blocking. I can see that in special teams, and those two have those qualities. No, you have to have a guy like that, or you're not going to be very good. You should have multiple guys like that. And we do. We have more than that. And you know that for those of you that don't know Evan Spencer, he was the captain of our team. Was named captain after the final 3 games, and we don't win those 3 games without Evan Spencer. And maybe wasn't making a catch in the end zone, but he was certainly getting people to the end zone. So that's what we're talking about.
The level he's at now.
No question. And you know, Austin's probably one of those good stories that you hear about, the 7-on-7 or the extra coaching that you get. You hear bad stories about him, and where maybe a street agent or something like that. I'll hear that stuff, and sometimes that's true, and a lot of times it's not. You know, he had a guy, Dre, that worked with him that became a friend of mine. I watched him work. I watched him train, taught him the right things about, you know, just work ethic. And obviously his high school coach came from a great high school program. So whenever you take a kid like that that's very serious about his trade, comes from a very good high school program, has a guy that trained him in the off season, and then we get him, that's that's why he's game ready. And he will play this year. Yeah, right now it's Mike Weber and Curtis Samuel and Dontre Wilson and DeMario and Antonio Williams are fighting for that spot. But right now it's Mike and Curtis are our top 2 backs in the program. And they're not Zeke level yet. Curtis is pretty close, even for a guy that doesn't get as many reps at pass protection. But Mike's pretty good, and he won't play if he won't. You know, that's something that's very important. And he's a stand-up guy, so he'll, you know, that's an awful high standard to hold him to, but that's what we're holding him to.
When we were watching practice last Sunday, just seeing that 97 again and kind of the way he walked around looked familiar. Have you had any double takes?
Walks, talks. Yep. Just trying to convince the Bows to have one more, we'll take them.
Now that you've had him out there practicing for a week, what's reasonable to expect from him?
Well, we are. I hate to use the word patience because I'll never forget when I sent a text message to the Bosa family, John, Cheryl, and Joey, about Nick, and Joey hit me back on a little group text, said, have patience. I simply said no. But we are being very patient with him. He hasn't been in full scrimmage situation yet. Just we're making sure that knee's 100% sound, and which it is. And so we're just easing him in. And he, once again, comes from an excellent high school program, very well coached, and he'll be game ready.
At end, or does he need to play inside?
At end. It's still too early to tell, but he's a defensive end. Exceptional leadership. Our guys that count on every day in practice, and Garyon, and both of them are playing at a very high level. You know, Taekwon had the shoulder surgery, but Garyon's playing, man, I mean, he's playing a high level right now, and so is Taekwon. Well, let's see. I might as well announce we have 2 injuries. Darius Slade ruptured his Achilles, so he's going to be out for the year. And Malcolm Prejean has hurt his knee and will have surgery on his knee, so he's out for 3 months. So those are 2 tough ones. With that said, the offense line is obviously a concern of depth. That's where Burrell and Matt Burrell, Demetrius Knox have really got to come on. And then, you know, Brendan Bowen has got a long ways to go, but he's got to come on too. So you just have to get depth there. The defensive line is starting to materialize a little bit with depth. Those are obviously the 2 issues.
Your punt returner is going to be your primary punt returner?
Dontre Wilson, I think, as of right now. And we're still watching this DeMario McCall. He's a pretty talented guy, and what's haven't been finalized yet. But right now, if we play today, Dontre.
Be the kickoff returner as well.
If we started today, yeah. Wilson's very fast. On receiver, we have some really fast guys. You have Paris Campbell, Terry McLaurin, James Clark are legitimate sub 10.5 or 10.5 100-meter guys. We have 4 corners that are playing at a very high level right now, and they're fast. Denzel Ward's probably the fastest on the team. I think he was a state 200, he DQ'd in the state 100, but he got the 200-meter championship. So he's legit track fast. And you got Damon Arnett, Garyon Conley, and there's another one. Oh, Marshawn Lattimore's playing outstanding right now. So we have 4 legitimate bump and run corners. Probably a little bit too early still. You know, I think Keandre is Michael Jordan for sure is playing. That's done. Keandre is a guy that we anticipate to play. You know, Jason Went, the kid from Brooklyn, is a guy that might be a special teams guy for us. Receiver, Victor's got a long way to go, but we're glad he's here. Jake Hausman has moved ahead of, I mean, he's pretty close to being in the mix. So still early, but those are a couple names. You know, got Coop is doing very well for us. Oh, Jordan Fuller, I think, is going to play. Oh, I'm a why guy. Why are we doing this drill? Why am I doing and putting them in this situation? Why? And I have to answer those questions. I challenge my staff, but at the end of the day, that's my responsibility. And there's never going to be a time that with the safety of our players will be jeopardized. So the game is so much different than it was 10 years ago, all for the good as far as the amount of contact. Back-to-back contact days, hard ones we just don't do. Other hard practices, but it's not the contact. So it's I have a whole team that's responsible for that. You know, that's Mickey Maratti's job with the sports performance team. That we have all these GPS workload, and we measure. There's now shorts that the guys wear, and they measure the activation of hamstrings. And I mean, there's so much that we're in that's helpful for the player. That's great.
I know you want the best for that. Are you conflicted at all having another? What would you do?
No. I'm a graduate of FAN. I think they should be in the Big 12. You know, I'm saying that without making all the research necessary to really make that comment. That's more of a fan of it's turned into a school like Ohio. My sister's a provost there, and so I know that school very well, and I couldn't be happier for that city and for that school if they do get in the Big 12.
You guys at all in terms of maybe the kids in Ohio?
Oh, sure. I bet it would. I mean, that's Big 12 is big business, and
You have coming out of that?
I'm pleased with the scrimmage, you know, and I usually don't say that on the first one, but pleased with the scrimmage. I'm just going to be careful who I single out. I had champions, and on purpose I didn't bring them in here because we did champions. I think the defense line is gaining a lot of momentum right now off the top of my head, and yeah, I don't want to give names right now. It's too early. Oh, he's coming. He's probably not back to full Noah Brown this time a year ago, but I'd say another week away he'll be there. He's working his tail off, and I just love having him back.
Yeah, who's going to play this year?
Well, this is the edge time. This is the first 8 practices, or 9, whatever we had. That was every school in the country had 8 practices. We've had 1 double. I actually took off the shoulder pads the second part of the double. So I'd say we're very average right now, and then we're going to find out this next week if we cross that edge. And I'm going to watch that like that's going to determine if we're going to be any good or not. This week will determine if we'll be any good this year. We probably, I mean, I have an idea of our starting lineup right now, but I'm not going to announce it because they're not at the level that we expect. Thank you.